But they're ready. They're condemning, but they're not really. And Trump said correctly that Russians are not going to have a big stink about it. On a positive note, although that has not been heard, but we understand that if we analyze Putin's actions, he actually feels very validated, because one of the reasons he went into Ukraine in 2022 is because he was afraid that is a security issue for Russia. There is a problem for Russia, that he may be taken out because Joe Biden didn't like him. So now he says, look, if America does it to Maduro, they could have done it to me. Also, the might gives the right. So Trump had the might, he went in. I have the might, I go against Ukraine.
Welcome back. What you're about to see is one of those moments that should make every Christian pause and think very carefully about what we're celebrating politically. We're looking at a discussion about the U.S. military operation that captured Venezuelan President Maduro. And specifically, we're examining how a foreign policy expert explains Putin's response. I'm going to show you why the phrase might makes right should terrify anyone who claims to follow Jesus or believe in the Constitution. This is going to challenge some assumptions, maybe even your own. Stay with me till the end, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Let's get into it.
Russia's foreign ministry is condemning the U.S. capture of Nicolas Maduro and his wife, and is calling for their release from U.S. custody. The longtime ally of Venezuela is now calling for the conflict to be resolved through diplomacy. Let's discuss this with Nina Khrushcheva. She's a professor of international affairs at the New School and is the great-granddaughter of former Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev. And we see the 2026 behind you. Happy New Year to you, Nina. We wish it was under more sobering or happier circumstances. But let's talk about this long-standing relationship between Russia and Venezuela. How might you expect the Putin regime to react to what the Trump administration is doing?
Good morning. Well, they already react, and they've been condemning, as actually many others. We heard it from China. We even heard it some words from Europe as well. But it's in some way, it's a very subdued reaction, because as horrible as it is what happened to losing this ally, because Russia has invested, it's not exactly clear, we don't have exact numbers, but up to 20 billion, 17 billion you just had a piece on Venezuelan oil. A lot of it was Russian bailing out. Rosneft was very big into sort of supporting the failing oil business over there. So Russia is almost ready to lose the money. So there's a questions to Putin is that why are we the Russians, why the Russians are investing into the regimes that really were very shaky to start with. That is one part of it. But they're ready. They're condemning, but they're not really. And Trump said correctly that Russians are not going to have a big stink about it. On a positive note, although that has not been heard, but we understand that if we analyze Putin's actions, he actually feels very validated, because one of the reasons he went into Ukraine in 2022 is because he was afraid that is a security issue for Russia. There is a problem for Russia, that he may be taken out because Joe Biden didn't like him. So now he says, look, if America does it to Maduro, they could have done it to me. Also, the might gives the right. So Trump had the might, he went in. I have the might, I go against Ukraine.
No, might does not give the right. That sentence should alarm every Christian watching this, because we just heard a foreign policy expert casually explain how American military action validates Putin's invasion of Ukraine. And nobody pushed back. I don't care which political party you support. When we operate on might makes right, we've abandoned both the Constitution and the gospel. You cannot celebrate this logic when America does it and condemn it when Russia does it. That's tribalism, not principle. Here's what just happened. Putin has spent years claiming the West does regime change whenever it wants. For years, we called that propaganda. Except now, we just proved his point. We captured Venezuela's president and his wife, measured success by speed, 30 minutes, and the expert explains how Putin feels validated. Every authoritarian on earth just got their talking points for 50 years. China will cite this on Taiwan. Russia will cite this in their next incursion. Iran will cite this. And they'll be right. We obliterated our own moral argument. The post-World War II order America built was based on rules, not raw power. We condemned Soviet regime change in Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Afghanistan. We condemned Russia in Georgia, Crimea, Ukraine. Our credibility rested on being different. We believe in law, not just force. That's gone now.
And much of this has led to questions about how much President Trump discussed with Putin about Venezuela when they spoke on Monday. But during a press conference, President Trump addressed whether or not he spoke to Mr. Putin about the Venezuela operation. Let's just play exactly what he had to say.
You had a phone call with him on Monday. Did he talk at all about Maduro? Did y'all talk about this?
No, we didn't. We never spoke about Maduro.
Are you mad at him right now? I mean, there's this intelligence.
I'm not thrilled with Putin. I'm not thrilled with Putin. He's killing too many people.
Scripture is clear. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever a man sows, he will also reap. When America sows lawlessness, we reap lawlessness directed at us. God demands consistent justice, one standard for everyone. You cannot have two measures and claim biblical principles. Christians, pay attention. Jesus stood before Pilate, who had absolute might and could execute him on a whim. What did Jesus do? He refused to fight. He refused to call down angels. He submitted to unjust power rather than use force to establish his kingdom. That's our model. When we celebrate regime change efficiency, when we treat taking out a leader in 30 minutes like a scoreboard win, we're not thinking like Christians. We're thinking like Romans. We're operating in Caesar's kingdom, not Christ's. I'm not defending Maduro. His regime has caused immense suffering. But justice requires process, not just power. The Constitution gives war powers to Congress, so we don't have kings who kidnap foreign leaders on impulse. Where was congressional authorization? Our ultimate hope isn't in any political system. Christ is king regardless of who holds office. But as citizens here, we speak truth, even when it's our team, even when it's unpopular. Might makes right is what Pharaoh believed, what Nebuchadnezzar believed, what Caesar believed. God opposed them all. We cannot hand Putin his best argument and then wonder why he keeps using it.
What do you make of that answer, and how do you think it might impact the U.S.'s efforts to get peace between Russia and Ukraine?
Well, I actually kind of agree with, I don't know whether they spoke about Venezuela, but I would imagine that they have many more things to talk about. First of all, there is Ukraine, then there is China, then there is Iran, and maybe later somewhere they can get to Venezuela. It's not really the top of their agenda. I'm sure if they did, Putin might have said, well, maybe don't take him out, maybe just let him get out peacefully, quietly, and whatnot. But he did. He essentially insulted Putin in those remarks when he said that there's a very primitive war. Look how it has to be done. We went in, we got out, because the idea was when Putin went in 2022, he would get Kyiv in 3 days, and he didn't. And so now Maduro was taken out in 30 minutes. So that's kind of an embarrassing thing for Putin. But I think another validation that he feels he can have is that he's not going to trust any Westerner. So if Trump can do it to Maduro, if Trump doesn't like him, he decides he can do it to him too. So now the Russians say, thank God we have nuclear weapons, and whatever our negotiations tactics would be, we're going to stand our ground and let them try to get to us.
Really interesting analysis there, Nina Khrushcheva. Always great to get your insight, especially on this first Monday of the new year. Thanks for being with us.
So here's my question for you. Can Christians celebrate efficiency over legitimacy? Can we support might makes right when it serves our political preferences and condemn it when it doesn't? I genuinely want to hear your thoughts. Comment below, especially if you disagree with me. Let's model what Christian political discourse should look like. And if this video challenged you or made you think differently, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're doing weekly videos on politics, faith, and culture from a biblical perspective. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. It's incredible to see believers from around the world wrestling with these questions together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.